Welcome, my name is Tushar and this is StarMade. And today we are going to start a ridiculous project because this is going to be a big project. I really looking forward to getting my teeth into a actual good, solid, big building project. And this is not a video regarding the new system changes that we're going to get for the power, because it's not stable yet and all kinds of changes are going to be made. I did some testing, but yeah, I'm not going to bother with systems at all at the moment. So building will be my main focus at the moment. The project you're looking at seems a bit familiar to you guys, I think, because this is the Biodome I used for the small station project. And this is where it is coming from, or where I took it from, and then built my small station around it, or at least attached to it. But this is the original project that I developed this Biodome for. And what is this project going to be? Well, basically, I'm going to build a city. That's the plan, at least. A city in space. I'm not the first. I mean, there are a couple of examples of space cities that are familiar to you guys, I think. Probably Atlantis from Stargate is one of the more well-known flying space cities, I think. And I do know that Biome built a city in space as well, at least on a planet plate, until the planet got blown up and then it was in space. So it's not the first, but I'm going to do it my own way. And this is the start of that. The plan is to have a large central tower here in the middle and then build my city around it. And basically go in a circle shape as far as city goes. These small biodomes I developed to basically be a park, or at least a place where you can go as a resident of this city to relax. And because one of these biodomes is a bit small, I linked them together. So that's what I'm working on here. That's what I started the project with. Not the central tower, but the biodomes. I'm weird like that, I know. And this is the one with the familiar tree for the small station project. I copied it over from there. But the change is that I made a path following the other biodomes, and this is what I'm trying to figure out on this end to see how to connect them. So I'm not sure if this works, or perhaps I should go here through this wall. That's probably better, and then go from there to the last biodome. That's something I need to figure out. And of course they will not be all the same. They will be different biomes, because this is a copy from each other now at the moment. There we go. Now one of the biodomes, I should say it correctly, is connected to the other one, to the second one. And I quite like the way I designed this hallway. It's not a solid wall. You can look outside if you move through the hallway to this side and this side, then go through to the different areas, and I'll make a copy of that one on this side as well to connect to the last biodome. Quick design lesson. Physical and suggested space and tension. At the moment we are in a physical defined space, so we've got a floor, walls and sort of roof. So this is one space. That's the physical defined space. We also have suggested space, because if I look from the top, for example, your eyes imagine that there is space between the biodomes and where I put the lines over here. there's no actual space because there's no floors, walls and ceiling, but it's suggested that this is a shape that you can see. And tension has to do with moving from one space to another, for example from this biodome to this hallway. And because this hallway is narrower, the space is more enclosed, you create tension. So then you have a lot of tension when you move through the hallway, and then when you move out of it, then all of a sudden the tension is released and you're in an open area. I relieved a bit of the tension within this hallway because of these windows. And because we have these windows now, we can use the suggested space on this side to add, I'm not sure what exactly, but all kinds of perhaps tanks or machinery type bits to fill up the space between the biodomes and the central tower I'm going to have. So that's the way I tend to design. Keep that in mind. I started adding some random, I'm not sure what they are, but some sort of tank. And we've got a maintenance hatch over here that's not working at the moment, but it should turn into some sort of elevator so you can get into this area and do some maintenance work. So now you can see that the suggested space is a lot more defined. And we need to do the same thing over here, but with something different. Because I want to do a ridiculous amount of detailing for this project. So all the different rooms I'm going to create, and there are going to be a lot of them, are going to be different. At least that's the plan. I can copy things around, some things, but I want to keep them individual as much as possible. I also created this small hallway to connect to the central area, and this will be the base of my central tower. So now I know at least how big it's going to be. And I also did some work on this biodome, and I'm going for a more Asian type theme with plant life. So I've got some bamboo stalks, a small wooden bridge, some water, and then we've got more or less the cacti, those type of plants that thrive in more rocky environments. So this will turn into a completely different feel as far as nature goes than the first biodome, because that's more or less the Western type of plant life. That's the plan at least. I decided to go for some brown tanks on this side, so probably recycling of water for the pond here in the biodome, and also a maintenance elevator on this side. It's mirrored the same as on the other side, and then some detailing over here in this space between the two walls. I also added these type of details, and if you are in this area you can open it up and then you can see a computer panel. So it's small details like that I want to add, that it's rewarding to explore, to be able to see something that you normally would not see if you wouldn't explore. So as far as I'm concerned, this area feels a lot more complete. So we've got a border around this quarter of the base of my main tower with relaxation areas. I will be working some more on the biosystems themselves, but I'm a bit out of ideas at the moment, so I'm going to work on the main tower now, see if I can get the shape going. The main tower will be high. I did some measurements with floor space, but not sure if this is the correct height or not. And this will also give me an idea how big the city plate is going to be. Oh, and one more thing. I forgot to mention, this is not a station. I'm building a ship because this is a ship core. If I want to be it to be a station, I can always convert it later on, but I want this thing to be able to be moved. So when this city arrives within a system, it will be noticeable. And all of a sudden we have a tower. Well, sort of. We've got a wireframe. I'm not all that much into wireframes myself. Usually I just build freeform. But in this case, because it is such a big project and each building is basically a build on its own, for these types of structures, then I do tend to use wireframes to get a proper read on the proportions and dimensions I want to use, and do some in-game sketching of what I want it to look like. The base I'm mainly sure about. It is going to be this 8-sided shape, but then I need to translate it into a tower shape that's a bit more square. So that's where the wireframe is coming in. I already connected it to the rest of the biodome, so this area looks really complete now at the moment. And I want to do the rest as well, as soon as I add more buildings. And now that I have a general height of my main middle tower, I can also map out the city plate I want, the size of it. I think this is about the size I want to go, perhaps a bit bigger, but not a whole lot, because the main tower in the middle will be the biggest building there. That's the main focus of the entire city. So there will be other towers around this city, but they will not be as high as this one, so they will be smaller. I tried to sketch out a tower that would look interesting, and I went for a sketch of a asymmetrical design on this side, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out or not. I have to experiment a bit with that. And on this side, you can see we've got some shapes going as well that I quite like. So this is symmetrical. So I'm not exactly sure if it's going to match or not, but we'll see what we can manage. The lower part of my tower was actually quite easily to do as far as armor plating goes. This is still asymmetrical, so we've got a set of windows here in this area, and then it should go back with some gray armor, I think. And that's not the case on this end. We've got all windows on this end. And this is also what I mean with I'm going to be ridiculous in detailing the place. Because every window you see here will have a room behind it. And this room will be furnished and lit up. And you can look into the building from the outside and see all kinds of different things. So yes, it's going to be ridiculously detailed. I did use my patented 5-high floor pattern. That's what the gray blocks were all about, to measure it out. And that's also how I tend to build. I tend to build the outside shell first, but because I already know the floor height, I can take into account the places, the internal spaces I want and need, and map them out correctly. So I think it will work out with the interior spaces. It's mainly going to be a apartment complex, this central tower. So people are going to live here, because all the factories and systems and things like that are going to be below the city in the city plate itself. So the city will mainly be the housing, buildings, entertainment, shops, things like that. The actual city to live in. Here I'm starting to struggle a bit. I'm getting above the initial apartment layers. And then we had these, yeah, what do you call them, negative spaces on this side and on this side of the building. And yeah, it's difficult to match them up because I'm struggling with the white armor paneling on top of the gray. Should I bring it over to here? Doesn't really look really balanced, and then I don't know what to do with this area to get it up there into the main antenna. So yeah, this is a bit messy for me at the moment. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. This is according to my wireframe, but it isn't turning out as I thought it would be. So instead of messing around with the top part of the tower, I decided to do something else, because I do know how big the tower is approximately going to be. I thought it was a good idea to work on the border of my city plate, and I'm going for a similar setup as my smaller biodomes. So I want to add these, yeah, what do you call them, arms that basically surround the city, and give a suggestion of a dome structure. There will be no dome, but these arms will suggest that there is. So that's also suggested space. It's not actual space because you can fly right through them. They're done, of course, but yeah, they will be. Yeah, now you can see that it is a ship. If I get bumped into, then it moves. So yeah, I will be able to fly this city to new places. Well, we stopped moving and we continued building as well. And here you can see that wireframing is also very important because this is such a big structure. This will give me an idea how the proportions work out for my dome arms. So this encloses the entire city. This will also give me an indication how high I can build towers in certain places. This is a couple of iterations further along. So I worked them out how big they should be, and then gave them a bit more thickness. So it looks a lot more a scaled up version of the smaller biodome than it did before. I quite like how it turned out. They're still not done, but this gives me an idea what I can work with within the dome area itself. The plate turned out to be a bit over 580 meters in length. So it's slightly shorter than the Burning Ember as far as I remember, but not by a lot. So now that we have our perimeter for our city done, I thought it was time to start messing with the top of the building again. And I still didn't have any good ideas how I wanted to do it. So I just start building, filling it out and see where I end up. And then you get this mess. This is completely lopsided and not balanced at all. And yeah, I don't like it at all. This is probably going to be all deleted, and then I have to start from scratch. So I removed most of it and then started wireframing again. And this time I'm thinking of going for a more symmetrical look. Basically go for the bunny ears. And I also did some additional paneling on this side to balance out the other side with all the white. But the more I think about it, the more I think I'm just going to have to go all symmetrical. Because this is the central tower, it's going to be very hard to connect everything to this if it is not symmetrical. So why should I be difficult about it and just copy it over and then go for all windows on the sides and then go for a symmetrical look working up as well. I think that works out better if I do that. And so I did. I reworked the design a bit, went for a gray part on both sides with ceramic paneling like this, and then work my way up to some sort of central elevator here, I think, and then more apartments on this side in these smaller parts. And then we need the top of the bunny ears here going into the main antennas. That's the plan, at least. Did some detailing here on this area as well. Some antennas and getting line work done here. Basically to hide that this line here is jagged behind it. You don't want to see that, but from a distance and even from close up, you hardly see it now. It's one of the main tricks I use with connections like this. And we're almost there. The upper parts are up there now, connected everything together. Still need to add the final antennas. And we've got our shape of a building. Still not sure about some parts, but now that we have a complete building shape, we can work on that. We can remove some parts, change some parts if you want to, until we get to the final design we want. It shouldn't be too difficult. And here we go. I would say spot the differences, but I will point them out anyway. I decided to forego this negative space on the upper parts of the lower part of the tower, and just go for a straight row of windows with apartments. And then I made a small change on this upper part as well. Brought it a bit forward, this white armor. So I had to sacrifice one of the windows, but I don't mind. It flows a lot better in line now with the rest of the building, so it looks a lot more solid. Still need to add a bit more detail to get it, give it a bit more life. And we still need to add something to fill this area. It needs to stick out. Last thing I changed was this window part. I did all the quarter slabs here in the middle, sort of a solar protection thing, but also to keep the insides a bit fuzzy. You can see something, but not completely. So I think this is done for now, at least as far as the main shell is concerned for the building. The next thing we're going to work on is mainly on the inside, the layout at least, and perhaps some detailing, and see if we can get a logical layout going. But that's for next time. I think we did enough for today. You can see how big this project is going to be, so there will be a lot more episodes about it. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and if you have any ideas or comments, let me know as well in the comments below. Until next time.